So let's now cross over to the CBD where Faisal Ahmed is standing by. Faisal, good morning. We know that it is the last day, but what are the hours for these banks? Because there is a deadline by which time they're supposed to have deposited the old 1,000 notes with the central bank. So what window have they opened? When are they closing it?
Thank you very much, Sam and Zinzi back in studio. Now, to just try and quote the CBK governor, the deadline is when the CBK closes, and that's around 5 p.m. And as we know today, most of the financial institutions will be taking in the old 1,000 shillings note, the old 1,000 shilling series. Now, they'll be the only institutions, in my view, that will be taking in the old notes, because most of the retail vendors, be it shops, supermarkets, even M-Pesa vendors, have actually come out and put notices that they'll not be taking the old 1,000 shilling notes. So the time that is, or rather the deadline for most Kenyans, will be around 3 p.m. before banks close. That will be the stipulated deadline, despite the ambiguity of the CBK in that particular issue. If it will be 5 p.m., if banks today might extend their working hours, also depending on the queues that will be there in banks. We'll be roaming around to see if there'll be queues in banks, or if Kenyans have actually exchanged the old notes for the new ones. In his last MPC briefing, which was on last week Tuesday, the central bank governor stated that most of the transactions were witnessed in the earlier months of June and July, immediately after the announcements were made in Narok during the Madaraka Day celebrations. So what they've been witnessing over the period has been small individuals taking in the small amounts that they have to the banks. Remember, still on that MPC briefing, he stated that only 24 deposits were made that were above 2 million shillings. The rest were below 2 million shillings, and over 90% of that were below 500,000 shillings. So that just shows you that all the bulk, all the individuals who had money in bulk had already deposited them in their respective banks to switch to the new currency notes. Sam?
That's okay, but the question still remains. So yes, the deadline has come. A bank or even a mobile money agent has set their deadline that they're not receiving that money. So let's say it's before the end of the day, and you still have that 1,000 note, and they're saying that at the expiry of today, it becomes not legal tender. So what exactly happens? Do you just lose everything that you have?
That's essentially it. The CBK governor, again, if I can quote him again, he said, no, the deadline will not be extended. So today is the deadline. If you have the old currency 1,000 shilling notes past today, that's essentially just a dead weight you're carrying around, because it will no longer be of use to you, and it will no longer be legal tender in Kenya.